welcome. We are ready to start our January bullet journal. So for January, we are looking at similar. If you've just done the 2025 bullet journal setup, let me show you. So that's what we've just worked through. We are going to do exactly the same for our January cover page. The same idea. So we're using this watercolour, whatever you want to go for. I've gone for quite pastel rainbows on this one. I might start today's by doing a bit of a galaxy darker theme. Let's see how we go. What you're going to need is some watercolour paints, paintbrushes. I'm using a jelly roll pen, which is a Sakura pen. I do find these are the best for white gel, but you can use any white gel pen. I'm using a fine liner, which is 0.1. I like the Tombow mono drawing pen, and I'm using a fiber tip double-ended, which is the Tombow dual tip, which has a brush end and a fiber tip end, and that's in black. Actually, I'm not sure we need that one, just for titling today. So let's get started. Normally at this point I would take you through our template, but I have issues with my printer today, so I can't print off the template, but you will have that added to today's Patreon post. If you are watching this on YouTube a year later, you can head over to Patreon and purchase the workbook that goes alongside this for £5. Okay, so I'm back with the templates. Now the printer has more ink, so let's have a look. We've got the cover page. You get a black and white version as well as your colour, and then you've got a week to view, your dailies with a little bit of detailing on each one and a watercolour splash, and then your habit tracker and your lovely mood tracker. Look how pretty that is. I'm excited to get started with that one. There we go, that is your template. Let's get into our design for today. So starting with a clean page. The watercolour base is really quite simple. The difficult bit is going to be doing our floral details. Now it's up to you. You can totally copy my template, in which case you can trace it through and then just draw your own. But if you fancy doing a little bit of freestyle, let's go through some simple shapes you can use. One, actually, I'm not going to use my favourite pen for this. Let's save the nib on it. Let's go for this one. And it's also going to be a bit darker so you can see. I'm just going to do a simple leaf. I'm starting with a centre stalk, and then I'm just going to add 2 curves either side, and that's going to create my leaf. And then I can come from that and do the same on other bits either side. It's going to really help us build up our kind of botanical shape. Another simple idea is a stem with a circle at the top. Do you need me to zoom in a bit? Let's try that. Okay, and then you've got shoots coming from this. So imagine there those little dried bits of berry, and that could have another stalk coming off. Pretty straightforward. And there we've got another kind of winter looking stick. Stick. It's not, I'm sure there's a more technical term. Now where it gets a bit complicated is if we start doing flowers. Let me show you a really simple way. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a circle in the middle, and I'm going to go out. What's the best shape to kind of say? Like a triangle, yeah, like a triangle. I'm going out, and actually I'm going to use the pen to be really wavy at the top here. So just really wavy, and I'm going to come back in like that, and I'm going to do the same again. Bit jaggedy and back in, and the same again. Almost like a 4-leaf clover, right? That's all I'm doing. Really simple floral. And then from the center, I'm just going to do some lines, starting at the center and pulling it outwards, building up, right? It's looking pretty. And then at the top end here, maybe we've just got, you know, a bit of kind of petal detailing. If you notice close up on a petal ever so slightly, some might be kind of torn edges or a bit of detailing, and that's all we're doing. That's a really simple, straightforward floral. Now, you can do different versions of the petals. So say if we've got a stem, a centre, what's the middle called? Stamen? I don't know. It's been a while since I've done any kind of biology. Right, there's our centre. And we're going to do this one more of a daisy. So if we're doing it a bit more traditional, I'm going to start by putting my 4 points in, and then I know it's even, because sometimes what I start here and start building it around and realise that I'm running out of space. Now all you're going to do is repeat that shape to fill in between each of those corners. There we go. That's our daisy shape. And if you wanted, you could add in a little bit, an extra in between each one, if you wanted to make it almost like a what are they called, gerbras? Are they something like that? They're quite full, aren't they? You could put a little semicircle in between each of those petals just to fill it out. That's going to build it even more. And then if you wanted, you could just put a triangle on the top, so it's got a little leaf. That's another floral idea we could do. Another one is more of a kind of trumpet. So bearing in mind we've got this kind of triangle shape. So again, we want it to be a bit freer. We're doing a bit of a jagged edge and we're coming down. We don't want to make it into a point because nature doesn't have any sharp angles, does it? It's going to have a little bit of a kind of rounded edge to it. And that is where our stem is going to come from. So imagine this is a bit dark here. Now, you could leave it like that if you wanted, almost like a budding floral. But what we're going to do is we're going to add in another petal, which kind of comes and hugs around the side. And we can add some little shading details. And then we've got another petal that kind of comes halfway. And then maybe there's another one that comes out there. And all of a sudden we have another floral. So with this one, you can have it closed tight like a bud, or you can open it out a bit. Let me show you. If we do it the other direction, we start with our trumpet shape, and we're just going to add a little stem. I'm going to make this one quite small. Okay, and then we're going to, what we can do is we can open this one out by creating a petal to the side. Again, really shaky, doesn't matter. I think the shakier it is, the more sketchy it looks. And then these petals on the other side just kind of go like that. All of a sudden, a more open shape. I think you can do this. So give this a go, and if not, if you're worried and you want to make it look really nice but you don't trust yourself, just trace it over from my template, and there's no harm in doing that. I do it. I mean, I know I designed them to start with, but I actually trace them onto my page, because I've said this before, when I've designed it on the screen, there's a balance to it, and I like to kind of keep that balance. So I just like a little pencil line of where I'm going with things, and then I can pen them in later. Shall we get started? Let's go for it. So we're starting with our clean page, and we're working our water into a frame shape, and then we're going to pick up the colour. Now with this one, I'm going to try, I didn't do so well on the 2025 cover page because I wanted to go darker, but I then panicked a bit, I think. But I wanted it to be kind of galaxy-ish. So we're starting with purple, and we're going to blend that round to, I do think blue works quite well with purple. So we're going to push some blue around there, and then we're going to maybe mix it with a bit of pink. And what you can do is put the paint on and then move it with the water. That works quite well, I think. So we'll put colour on, and then we're just going to blend it with the water, pull it down. And as I said, your page is going to get wet. You can't stop it. So we're just going to work with it, and we're going to know that when we use our journal, it's going to flatten this page out, because we're going to use our journal every day, aren't we? Yes, that's a new plan for 2025, as we are committed to journaling. Let's stick a little bit of yellow in there. Again, putting my colour on and then using the water on the brush to blend that in, like so. Coming round, what should we do? Should we use a bit more pink maybe in the corner? My pink, I'm actually out of white watercolour paint. I need to order some more, so it's quite tricky to make pink again. I've got like a load that I've saved from a previous painting, does like little, when I've been painting Christmas cards. I don't know if you've had a go at the Christmas card tutorial, but I've basically done them for all my family. Are getting hand painted Christmas cards this year, so I've been using pink for that, and I had some left over, but not a lot, guys, so working with what I've got. Let's use what left I have over here. It's very watery, it's not very pigmented at the minute. Okay, and we're just going to push those colours around. It just looks like a mess, and that's fine. It's a creative mess, is what it is. And then we're just going to blend, and then let's do some more green and yellow, I think, over here. Some yellow and this green over there. And then I think, I mean, it's come out pastel again. I haven't been very brave. Oh look, I didn't really want the, I should have swapped those round. Should have done the green down there so it wasn't green over green. That's fine, because that's mirroring. Who knows? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It'll all look good when we've added the pen. Right, so there we go. A messy watercolour border. We're going to let that dry and come back and do our outline. Okay, so we're dry. Again, don't worry about the lumpy bumpiness, because we're going to close our journal and leave it under something heavy, and that's going to be fine. So I don't have the template in colour to show you, but just as I can print in black and white until my printer has a colour cartridge, you'll see I've given you a black and white template as well as this one would be in colour. That is so that you can quite easily trace, if you needed to, this over so you can see that design. So you can do it freestyle, you can use the techniques that we've just been through and do your own, or you can trace it. Either way, let's get started on our design. So this is the bit that's quite fiddly. It might take you a bit of time, but it's basically just doodling around, and it's something that I find really, really mindful. So I will start, but then I will speed up the video, because it's just the same kind of thing that we've been talking about in the tutorial bit that I went through with the leaves and the florals, but it's just a lot of them. I do realise that I went a bit overboard, but I really liked the design and I was just feeling the need to get creative. So it is a little bit, you can do as little or as much as you want. So let's speed it up and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so as we mindfully doodled there, that is our finished product, which just, I think, I love it. I love the way it looks. So now we just need to add in our titling. So as normal, I have got my Tombow pen and we're just gonna add in January. And as you all know, I love my monthly stamp set. Again, this is available online in our store, and if you are a creative member with us, then you get 15% discount. So if you're watching this on Patreon, you actually have 15% discount on everything in the Lifestyle Planner store. So make use of that. We have got January starting on a Wednesday for 2025, and we're done. So don't worry about this. As I said, it's gonna straighten itself out in no time, and we're ready to start January. I hope you have enjoyed doing this mindful colouring and doodling, and let's get January under our belt and see what the rest of the year has in hold.